Hey guys, my name is Darlena Babula and I did my project on Pollution Island. The formal name for Pollution Island is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It is one of 5 gyres in the world and it holds approximately 88,000 tons of garbage waste. The patch is only getting larger and larger over time. Currently, it is the size of Texas and it only continues to harm marine life and human life. So, why this is such a big issue is because plastic is not biodegradable and because it contaminates 90% of our ocean. As it's breaking down, it becomes more and more toxic. So it's releasing toxins into our water, which leads to the fish consuming it, and then we consume the fish. So, very unhealthy. Also, it's getting larger because there's 5 ocean currents that drag pollution from all different parts of the world, and it's just contributing to making it bigger and bigger. Also, I saw this study that was done over 1,700 miles of water, and there was 100 samples taken of the water, and in each sample there was plastic debris found. So it just gives you an idea of how toxic and polluted the water is. So currently, there aren't really any policies that are strict enough that protect the ocean from being polluted or have grave enough consequences to keep people from polluting into the ocean. They're kind of just general standards that like the Coast Guard and ships that transport goods and stuff have to abide by, but there's not really anyone to enforce them, and the fines aren't that big for a company that has so much income coming in. So the key stakeholders are obviously marine life because so many animals die yearly from ingesting the plastics. And then because these marine life ingest the plastics and we eat them, then we are ingesting the plastics. And because the ocean makes up most of our environment and ecosystem, it's also affecting the environment and our ecosystem. So there are a few barriers to being able to clean up the mess and to continue to enforce the reduction of pollution. So, like I mentioned before, there aren't strict enough policies in place. It also costs a lot to be able to clean up the patch, and technically, the ocean doesn't really belong to anyone, so no one wants to take that responsibility on. Um, Also, even if the pollution were cleaned up, there's still the factories and the manufacturers that are releasing toxic products and manufacturing things that are bad for the environment. So that would need to change as well. And then a lot of the time, the littering that we do on the streets, people don't really think about that, but it ends up going into the water at some point. For if it goes down sewage or whatever, it always goes back out into the water and then back to us. So you can't really physically monitor people all the time to keep them from littering. Costs versus benefits. So, like I said before, it is very expensive to be able to clean just this one particular gyre. Just to rent the ships alone, it would take about 67 ships in 1 year to start the cleanup process, and it would cost between $5,000 to $20,000 a day, which ultimately would be between 122 and 489 million for the year, and that doesn't include labor or equipment expenses. But in the long run, the ocean would begin to thrive and become healthy again because it would be decontaminated. Marine life would be able to do better and the deaths would be minimized tremendously. Um, Humans would have safer water since that's mostly where a lot of people get their water from, and then it would be boosting the ecosystem's health. So there's a few solutions that I came up with. So individually, that what we can do, like on a day-to-day basis, is stop littering because it does end up to the getting to the ocean eventually. Use reusable bags when you go to the market instead of using plastic or paper bags, so that you're creating less trash, and then minimize the amount of trash produced. So avoid like plastic cups and plastic plates and or paper plates. Like use stuff that can be washed and reused over and over again to minimize the waste that's being produced. On an organizational level, I know there's a few companies that already have like the equipment to clean it up. They're just not big enough. So if organizations came together and donated their equipment just for like the cause and gather volunteers so that the costs of cleaning up can be minimized, maybe start like the GoFundMe's and stuff to fund the cleanup process and then raise more awareness, because I feel like if more people were it was brought to their attention to like help clean and stuff, that it would bring more volunteers to help the cause basically. And then for on a like national for companies like across the board to start using biodegradable products, because there has been plastics invented that dissociate in water and it doesn't toxify the water, and that would minimize a lot of pollution. That they should also be required to follow stricter guidelines, to use eco-friendly methods of production to also minimize their carbon footprint, and to contribute to the cost of cleanup, since they are the reason that it's being polluted in the first place. And then these are my questions for everyone. All done.